When Linda and Bob Scarth go on a date, it's likely they have a lot of camera gear in tow. They've been taking pictures together as long as they've been married.
For both photographers, sharing nature's beauty is not just a hobby, it's a way of life. A life they've shared for more than 50 years. Bob and Linda Scarth can tell you a lot about the flora and fauna found between the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. That's because they spend a lot of time outdoors photographing the state's natural wonders.
We've been out here a couple of times, I think on New Year's Day, and some of the skunk cabbage has come up through some snow. And we may come out here half a dozen times a year, come out for the skunk cabbage, then later on for the marsh marigolds, and then also for the red trilliums.
And spring beauty and hepatica and all of the spring flowers. But we photograph year-round. There's usually something interesting.
Linda's father was a photographer, and she developed an interest in photography at an early age. Bob began taking photographs for classes he taught in animal science. Together, they've been making beautiful pictures for over 50 years, or as long as they've been married.
A lot of my early photography when we traveled was landscape. I tended to do more landscapes than anything else, and I was a flower spotter for Linda. And then it turns out now that I do as much close-up work and algae and fungus and flowers as Linda does.
He does more birds than I do. I'm getting back to doing more landscapes again, so I'm seeing the world. I used to say I saw the world through a 100mm macro lens because that's how I framed the world, but I try to expand myself from that.
In 2009, 80 photographs that Linda and Bob had taken over the years were published in a book titled Deep Nature: Photographs from Iowa. The pictures that they selected to include in the book are a close-up look at some of the small wonders found in Iowa's woodlands, wetlands, and prairies.
My favorite image is the hoverfly on the fringed gentian.
And the nice thing about that is the hoverfly wings picked up some of the colors of the fringed gentian.
I think my second favorite is probably the little zebra spider. Most spiders don't have very good vision, but jumping spiders do have very good vision. And he saw my lens, and he saw that, and that was the biggest eye he had ever seen. And he sat there and he looked at me like this. And that was fun to do. I enjoyed that. We were hoping to get people to look more closely, that there are so many lovely little things. So we included some fungi, some beautiful colored fungi, insects. We even have a batch of some lichens, because lichens are the corals of the woodlands, you know, because they repeat the shapes and colors that are often seen in corals. And people just don't notice these things, and we live in such a beautiful world if you just take time to look.
Linda and Bob together have 4 cameras. All of them are the same, except they've mounted different types of lenses on each camera. It allows them to simply trade cameras instead of having to change lenses in the field. On a shoot, they'll take an assortment of reflectors and umbrellas to direct and diffuse light. And Bob often wears something he refers to as garden knees.
Those garden knees are one of my most useful pieces of equipment, because most things look better if you can photograph them at their level, so getting as low as you can. Also, that helps you when you get down low in terms of it may be easier to get a diffuse background. If you're looking straight down or pretty well angled down on things, they normally don't look as nice.
Photography is something Linda and Bob do together. They can cover a lot of ground as a team, but the process still takes time.
When you see something, you just don't take a picture. You make some time, you think about it, you walk around it, you set up. Pictures are made, they're not taken. And we have friends here in town who said, you don't go for a walk with them. You start out, they stop to photograph something, and you come back 2 hours later and they haven't moved 5 feet.
Well, more than 5 feet normally, but
Well done.
we go at our own pace.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to share what you love to do with someone you love. And it's rewarding to be able to make a difference in the lives of people and the world you live in by sharing that love with others.
We're each other's best friend, and this is something we can do together. And nature is so special, and we need to show the world how special it is.